Okay. So I think I've kind of settled on an intro for my videos. We'll see how it fits, and I'm not entirely sure where this video is going to fit in terms of like my timeline. I'm like pre-recording some videos so that I have a little bit of a catalog going into posting my first one, which I do know will be a sketchbook tour, not only because I know they're popular, but because I feel like it would give people the opportunity to really see my art and my personality and see if they want to stick around. Hello, I'm Riflet, but feel free to call me Rory if you're new around here. Hi, hello, how are you? Feel free to stick around and suss out the vibes. I like to create dope art content, and I'm hoping to be able to spread that love to other people and build a super chill community together. If you're not new around here, what is up, my guys? How are you doing today? I'm super pumped to get into this video. I'm messing around with polymer clay, and I'm really excited about it. I'm not totally sure how this video is gonna come across because I have it sped up like a bunch, because you'll see here that the creature that I'm actually creating ends up being taken and just like tossed because I really wanted it to be like this really small little handheld creature, and it was just way too big in the beginning. So I ended up having to scrap it and start again, which is totally fine, especially because polymer clay is a lot more of a hobby than it is anything else for me. Well, I guess art is a hobby too, but if art is a hobby, then I have very little experience in polymer clay, honestly. So I wanted to start out and make something that I know that I really enjoy and love. So if you can kind of see behind my desk or underneath my desk, there are these two newts looking at each other on the leftmost corner of my sketchbook, the bottom corner. And that's kind of what inspired this little like newt creature that I wanted to make out of polymer clay that you could just like hold in your hand. I knew that it would bring me a lot of joy, and I thought, maybe people would like it and I can make more of them and put them up on my Etsy or something like that. And I just genuinely can't imagine anything cooler than someone wanting to own a piece of art that you created. I mean, that's like hitting your peak, honestly. Like, I can't imagine anything more awesome. And I mean, come on, look at this little guy. He's such an adorable little dude, or at least he will be once he's finished. You guys will see. The first one that I make is just too long. He's a long boy, and it takes me a while to figure him out. I overwork the polymer clay a little bit, which makes it really soft, which is a problem that I fix and deal with in my second iteration, where I try not to overwork it so it doesn't get so gummy. But in terms of like what I'm doing right now, I'm literally just trying to figure out what shape I want to make the tail. You'd think, because I've been doing art for like a decade now, that thinking in 3D spaces would be pretty easy for me. But I definitely don't think this was easy. It was really difficult to figure out where the shadows were going to hit the curl of the tail to make it look the way that I really wanted it to look, because I wanted it to be a little bit more dynamic than the sketches that I have. I love the fluidity of the sketches, but for like something that you can hold in your hand, I kind of wanted to show off the really curly tail, almost like a pug tail. And so yeah, I just kind of fiddled with it for a while. I wanted it to have these really huge bulbous eyes because I thought that would look ridiculous. So you'll see I end up doing that, and I'm making these little nubby legs and this super curled tail. And that all kind of follows through into my second attempt. I just make him smaller and a little bit more hand-holdable. Not having like super, I guess, professional clay tools, I'm using like the back of a brush for most of my molding, and then I'm just kind of like making sure to not have too many fingerprints, try and smooth out the fingerprints that I may cause, and really just work on trying to make it look, the best that it possibly can, even though it's really just for me. One of the things that I want to do in my videos, which I'm not sure how much I've reiterated this already in like videos that I may be posting before this one, but I really want to work on and have my videos be a place where I'm constantly kind of talking and just chatting about what I'm doing and what I'm thinking and feeling, because those are the kinds of videos that I really enjoy watching, where they're like 20, 30, 40 minutes long and someone is just kind of constantly stream of thought, just chatting with this audience that they don't even know exists, really. and maybe don't even know how to relate to, but I love the constant noise, not only like the noise that it makes in the background, I guess, but also the fact that it makes me really want to focus on the video and focus on the content that they're creating and the thing that they're working on. And it also helps me understand their process and their ideating process and how they went about doing what they did. So I knew when I baked it in the oven and then it came back that I wanted to add a little bit of like texture in terms of like paint to the back of the little newt, because I love doing that in my sketches and doodles and drawings. So I wanted to kind of really bring this little guy to life, like exactly what he looks like in my head. But the first round of doing this, even from like just trying to do the circles and the pupils with acrylic paint and then trying to do the dots on the back with a paintbrush, they just weren't as circular as I wanted them to be. So I take this as a learning experience and I apply it to my second iteration of this little newt that's a little bit more handheld and a little bit smaller and more pocket size. That's the word I'm looking for. And I just take what I learned here and I use it to actually I decide to use my Posca pens, which I should have from the beginning. They're gonna leave a nice circle on the eyes, and then I choose to actually use a Copic marker for the back because I really liked well, you'll see it has like this translucent shininess to it that actually makes it really stand out against the super matte polymer clay. In the video in which I decide, okay, we need to reevaluate. It's just the spots aren't working the way I want them to. The tail is too long, or more like the body is too long, honestly. And the only thing that I really liked was the like ridiculously huge eyes. I thought that they were hilarious. I start by just, rolling some clay, realizing that my rings are like causing bumps in the clay, so I take them off, and I'm just like rolling it into a noodle shape, and then you're gonna see me do this over and over again, just like ball it up, roll it into a noodle, try and figure out what the heck is going on, and how, I don't know, what shape I want the little newt to take, because I don't think at this point that I wanted the tail to go the exact same way as the first newt. And as I mentioned before, I knew that I wanted it to be a lot smaller. I wanted them to be like little pocket-sized buddies, because I also wanted them to be a little bit easier to recreate in the future if it's something that I end up really liking or that other people find, enjoyment in and maybe want to own. As you can see here, the process went a lot faster. I felt like I had a way better grasp on what I was doing. Rolling the balls, using the gloves, getting the noodly shape in the newt right. And there's a lot of fiddling that does happen and go on with the eyes on this one specifically. It did not go as smoothly as the first one. I think what I was doing was just like squishing the head way too much between the eyeballs and putting too much pressure. So if I remember correctly, I might even end up taking the eyeballs off and completely rebuilding this noodle shape again for a quick second. So I keep readjusting and adjusting his tail and the movement of the newt. I really wanted it to have this kind of curly Q flow to it, and I was really trying to make sure that from like all angles it looked correct. I mentioned earlier that like figuring out the 3D space that this guy was going to occupy was like really confusing and a little bit of like a headache, but it also kind of, I don't know, through drawing these newts and sketching these newts, I've learned a lot more about how like these noodly forms flow through actual space, and because of that I think it made this process a little bit easier than just being brand new and jumping into polymer clay and having absolutely no idea what I was doing and how to visualize the space. And I've been drawing these little guys for, I don't know, a couple years now. They're kind of like my go-to doodle, that and chickens. And because of that, I knew that it was something that I wanted to bring to life in a 3D form. And it would be really cool if I could pull it off, to be able to hold one of my newts in my hand. I was so excited for that opportunity, and I was incredibly inspired by the doodles, as I mentioned in my sketchbook. I knew, I sat here and I was like, this is what I want to make into something that I can hold, something palpable, something that can sit across from me from my desk and make me giggle. And honestly, the big eyes really pulled it together for me, and they, like, every time I see them, I just start laughing because it's like absurd and ridiculous, but in the best way possible. Honestly, at this point, I feel like fiddling is the name of the game, you know? It's just taking an eyeball off, rolling it around, putting it back, fiddling with a paintbrush, doing it all over again until I get the shape right. And the little guy that you're seeing here is the one that I end up being able to bake. I really loved the flow of the tail, the big eyes, his little nubby feet. He didn't have a ton of fingerprints all over him, and in the end, I'm really happy that this was what I was able to create. I think that the video, like not sped up, is about 30 minutes long, so it really wasn't like a very time-consuming process. It was just that I kept having to squish him and redo it because I just wasn't getting that noodly shape right, but it was so satisfying once I did. I show off my little shape as I take him off into the oven, and then I pull him back out, and woo! He's sitting there right in front of me. I can hold him in the palm of my hand, and all that's left are those small finishing details, adding the dots and filling in his pupils. I just can't believe how ridiculously stupid he looks, just like chilling on that oven mitt. Like, his eyes are ridiculously huge, but it just makes me laugh. I really enjoyed like the process of making and creating him, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I can look over at my desk right now, and he just sits on my pencil sharpener just staring off into the distance, or at nothing at all, I guess. Here I am just showing him off, trying to show you guys what he looks like from all the angles. I'm just ecstatic that he's so small and adorable. He makes me happy. With these final shots, that's really it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I had a fantastic time editing. This was my second video that I did a full voiceover on, and it came a lot more naturally, a little bit easier, which is great. It's just like genuinely a pretty enjoyable process. I've studied like video editing before, so using this free software actually has been way less difficult than I assumed it would be. I feel like Adobe is kind of overrated in how difficult it can be to use, but for something like this where I'm just doing, you know, some quick edits, cutting down footage, and overlaying like an audio piece to it, it's just really nice, and the process is going so much smoother than I anticipated. I mean, it takes a long time, but it's not like hurting my brain to do, which I definitely expected this to be a headache and a half. So it's really cool that I can pick up this hobby and it be not a disaster. I guess I will talk to you guys in the next video. Bye!